The exhibition really came together because of an old relationship with the museum director of the Museum Barberini. We actually both started as junior curators many, many years ago at the same museum in Hamburg. And we realized with the amazing holdings they have, or the private collector that is behind the Barberini has of Claude Monet paintings, and our relatively new acquisition of the paintings from the Hamilton collection and our two beautiful gems that have been in the collection since the 1930s, both museums really would be able to take a project on that you don't take on so easily. It's a lifelong dream, but you don't know when the right moment is there, and here definitely the right moment was there. I think Monet is really one of these artists, when you start knowing more about their work, they will not leave you.
Probably one of the subjects most connected to Monet is his garden. And some people may know that Monet was actually a very skilled gardener. He tended to flowers and gardens throughout his life. And an example, in fact, behind my back is a depiction of water lilies that he painted in his garden in Giverny. The property in Giverny is one that he began renting in 1883 and actually purchased in 1890. So he had a very long connection with this place. It's significant as here he had the opportunity not only to plan his own garden, but to plant it, to actually even create a pond. And so this is a time towards the end of his life where he began painting his actual subject, a subject that he created, which was a connection really that in a way is very special. Artists can paint a landscape, but they don't have often an intervention in it. But in the case of Monet and Giverny, he really was able to plan and whatever to really create his own subject matter.
So Monet traveled all his life, and he, even in his late years, when he was relatively settled in Giverny, he traveled to Venice. He traveled to London several times. He painted there the Waterloo Bridge, the Charing Cross Bridge. And before, really, in the first, 40, 50 years of his life as a painter, he was kind of restless. He explored very different motifs: the south of France, the Bretagne, the Normandy, Paris, of course. It's interesting, when you look at his work, you have these packages almost, these clusters of paintings which are very connected with one site.
In the 1890s, Monet began focusing more and more in a painting series of a specific subject. This actually specifically began in 1891, when for the first time he showed a group of painting. The subject was the haystack, and he showed them as a group, so they were meant to be appreciated as an ensemble. And this was quite new. In the past, throughout his career, certainly there are examples of Monet painting 2 or 3 canvases of the same subjects, but they were not meant to be quite series. It is really in the early 1890s that instead, with examples such as the poplars or the water lily pond, we have an example in the background, or the haystack, of course, or the Waterloo Bridge, he began painting the same subject over and over. And this is really, seems to imply that for Monet, one canvas really wasn't enough. In order to really get to really depict a subject or depict a particular landscape, he had to really paint it in different times of day, with different lights, almost attempting in a way to get to the truth of the subject, the real essence. Because, as he said many times, subjects changes, light changes, and so the same subject is not the same one minute to the other.
I think you really can take away what an amazing, prolific, and inventive artist Monet was.